Pesach season, as great tribulation was poured out into the lives of the disciples. Pesach is not just a time to enjoy and eat matzah, but a time to pray and be on guard and be on the highest alert humanly possible. Because the Passover angel of death, who committed the first mass murder in Mitzrayim, that angel of death is alive. And if you don't have Yahweh holding him back, Yahweh didn't kill the firstborn. He sent the Melech HaMavet, the angel of death, to kill the firstborn. And when we stay close to Yahweh, the Melech HaMavet cannot touch us. Yahweh didn't kill anybody. But the first mass murder was done during Passover by the Melech HaMavet, the angel of death. And he's still alive. That's the bad news. Melech HaMavet is still alive. And we need Yahweh and his Melachim to keep him away from us. So how do we get that? By prayer. How did Kepha know to show up at the door of this prayer meeting? How did Kepha know? Because he knew what the Talmudim were supposed to do during Pesach. Not just drink wine and have a good time and dance. Tzion, 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 yale kukali, pero somalai. Hey! No, that's part of it. The other part is getting serious and getting the devil out of your marriage, out of your life, out of your bedroom, out of your sickness, out of your hospitalization, out of your confusion, out of your finances, and out of your children's rebellion. Amen. Amen. Where did Kepha go to report? To those who were doing warfare. To those who were doing spiritual warfare during Chag Matzot. To them, he went to report, I'm alive. Your prayers are working. Your prayers are answered. They're affectatious. I'm alive. I'm okay. Toda Rabba Yahweh. Praise Yahweh. Baruch Hashem. Yahweh. He knew where to go. He knew the cause of the effect. He knew what caused his deliverance, their spiritual warfare during this very dangerous time of Chag Matzot. Now go further down. We're going to go quickly. We have a lot to cover. Is it all right with you? Yes. If we obey Tehilah's suggestion and kill the clock? Is that all right? Some of you are going, no, what does that mean? What are the implications?
You'll find out.
How does that fit? It doesn't. We're preaching the word. Move out of the way now. We're going forward in the kingdom of Yahweh. Amen. Maaseh Shlichim 12:21. Here's another Pesach spiritual battle. On a set day, every one of you missed that. What's another way to say set day? Baruch Hashem Yahweh. At an appointed time, meaning this clown tried to do what Islam is doing today, which is turn Yahweh's Passover into the Muslim New Year. It doesn't work that way. And it didn't work for Herod either. Turn to your neighbor and say, it didn't work for Herodias. Watch this. On the said day, Pesach, Chag Matzot season, Herod arrayed in royal apparel, meaning, don't go give glory to the king in Yerushalayim. Come give glory to me, Herodus. He was dressed in royal apparel, like a king, sitting upon his kiseh. And he made a verbal address, or if you will, a Edomite State of the Union to his followers. And the people were impressed. They said, a nice speech. What's a nice speech? Wunderbar, Herodias. Das ist, que lindo, wunderbar. The people gave a great shout, saying it is the voice of the God, the mighty one, the God. It is the God, not the man. Verse 23. They heard an unclean Passover demon speaking through Herod, who used to be in heaven before Yahweh threw him out. That demon was speaking through Herod in a beautiful State of the Union speech. Because that demon wanted to take Yahweh off the throne and put his disciple Herod on the throne during Passover. During Chag Matzot, See, if there weren't so many proofs, then I would be building a sandcastle. But all this activity takes place during Pesach. You've got to be careful when you're eating your matzah. You've got to be careful when you're celebrating the Torah and the days of obedience. These are the days of Elijah, but these also are the days of the Melech HaMavet. And you better be on guard like you've never been on guard before. And if you don't know how to pray, start learning now. And stop calling the rabbi and the elders and saying, teach me to pray. The disciples went to Yeshua and they said, Master, teach us to pray. He will teach you, and you need to get in your prayer closet, your talit, and put it over your head real quickly. This is the prayer closet Yeshua was referring to. The people said it is the voice of a mighty one. Not of a man. Not of a man. They heard a Passover angel speaking through Herod. I want you to understand this because I don't have time to review part one. There are two types of Passover angels. Clean Passover angels and what? Unclean Passover angels. And how you conduct your life will depend who visits you. Well, I'm a child of Yahweh. I don't receive that. Yeah, we are protected, but they are not released unless we are on guard and watchmen and spiritually discerned. And if we don't have clean angels, Passover angels, released to us, then the unclean Passover angels will visit you. Do you think every Israelite left Egypt? No. How about the people that were laughing and mocking at the prophets of Yahweh and Moshe and Aharon, who didn't put the blood of the lamb on the door? What do you think happened to them? Bye. The angel visited them too, but it wasn't the angel of Yahweh, Yeshua. It was the Malach HaMavet. During this Pesach season, Chag Matzot, the angel of death slaughtered King Herod for his blasphemy against Yahweh. Right on the very throne. All kinds of angelic action takes place around Pesach and here again around Yerushalayim. Go with me to Yehoshua chapter 5. Yehoshua chapter 5. Is anyone enjoying?
Amen. Amen. Hallelujah.
I'm laboring here now. I'll try that again. Is anyone enjoying?
Amen.
Amen. That's what I thought you said. Yehoshua chapter 5, verse 7. Now check this one out. An entire generation did not observe Passover because of Passover demons. I'll say that again. An entire generation did not observe Passover because of Passover demons. Look at verse 7. Yehoshua 5:7. And their children, meaning the generation who died in the wilderness, their children whom Yahweh had raised up in their place, meaning the children of the generation in the wilderness who died, upon those did Yehoshua, perform Brit Milah, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not performed Brit Milah on the Derech in the wilderness. They were about to enter the promised land with Yehoshua, and Yehoshua said there's an entire generation of the children of Israel who died in the wilderness that have not received Brit Milah, and before we enter the promised land, they must receive Brit Milah.
That's a lot of people.
Now watch how these unclean Passover demons, the same one Tehillah that was speaking through Herod, the same kind of Passover. Remember, these are not just demons. These are Passover demons.
Specific.
That are specifically on heightened alert during the Chag Matzot season. Question needs to be asked. Why did an entire generation born in the wilderness, seeing the death visited upon their fathers, not obey Yahweh and perform Brit Milah in order to celebrate the Pesach? They saw the death of their fathers, and they still, not one of them obeyed Yahweh. Question needs to be asked. Because S period, A period, 10, would do anything to cause the blood of the Lamb to be ignored or denied. Satan knows the Torah better than we do. If he gets all the Israelites not being circumcised, how many people can perform the Passover?
He's doing that now.
If they can't perform the Passover, who gets ignored? The Lamb of Yahweh, Yeshua, the Mashiach, the deliverance, the salvation, the redemption of Yahweh. So if he can get no men to the table, then the whole focal point of the table is ignored. Yeshua is ignored. And that's why Joshua said, we are going to celebrate the Passover. We are not going to stand for this rebellion, the same rebellion that your fathers walked in. We are going to cure this rebellion before we enter the promised land. So that we can eat the Pesach. And so that you're not a victim of the Passover demons.
Yep, right now.
No doubt,
Right now.
there was great angelic activity among the demons during these years in the wilderness. Every Passover, after the new generation was born. You missed that. How many years were the children of Israel in the wilderness? 40 years. 40 años. From the time the previous generation died until they entered the Holy Land, how many years was it? 40. For 40 years, no one got circumcised. And for 40 years, no one ate the Passover, because for 40 years, you couldn't eat the Passover unless you were circumcised. Have any of you been under attack? Has a Passover demon tried to take the joy of Pesach away by putting obstacles and stumbling blocks in your path so you wouldn't be circumcised, to get you either to ignore the Passover table or show up there unclean? And don't blame somebody. It's not a human being. It's a demon that has tried to stop you from obeying Yahweh. It's not him, it's not her, it's not them. Can this make sense? Yes. These devils are so powerful that they prevented an entire generation from eating Passover for 40 years. And if you've had some opposition coming to Miami Beach this Pesach, and you've been wrestling with your own demons to get circumcised and get to obey Yahweh in shalom with your husband, your family, your children, everyone in one accord, and there's nothing but this unity and division and strife, understand one thing. The Passover demons are coming against you. And you've got to find a group to pray and be on guard so the clean angels will be sent. And then like Peter, you'll say, this is not a vision. The angel of Yahweh has been sent to walk me through this time period in my life.
Amen.
Talk to me, somebody. So Joshua is faced with a crisis. Moshe Rabbeinu is dead. He now has to take the people of Israel into Eretz Yisrael. But he has, in those days there was nobody, moils, people that would do Brit Milah. So he had to personally circumcise every male member. If I may say so myself, that's quite a huge job. Edgar, you think you got a tough brother. This dude had to circumcise 600,000 men. What's your problem?
Wow.
I don't think you have one. 600,000 men. The generation of the other 600,000 that died in the wilderness. And Joshua did it himself. He did not have the Salvation Army lending him a hand. He did it himself. He was a prophet, a teacher, a leader, and a Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Look at verse 7. The children that Yahweh raised up in their place, upon these children, Yehoshua performed the Brit Milah. Why? They were all uncircumcised. They had not performed Brit Milah in the wilderness. Verse 8. And it came to pass, when they had done performing Brit Milah upon the people, that the people abode in their places in the camp until they were healed. Good idea. Look at verse 9. Yehoshua 5:9. We had some people dancing yesterday, and they had just been circumcised, and I was kind of wondering if they'd come through all right, you know what I'm saying? Because these folks like took some time off for healing. I saw folks last night going nuts, and they had not taken time off, and they had just been Brit Milah. I'm going to move on so I don't look ridiculous. And Yahweh said to Moshe, this day, not when I took your people out of Mitzrayim, no, not 40 years ago, today, Joshua, when you made Brit Milah on 600,000 men, today I removed the reproach of Mitzrayim. Today, not when I took them out, because that reproach was still hanging on their flagpole. It took 40 years, brothers and sisters, for Yahweh to move away the reproach of Egypt. 40 years. It didn't happen the day of the Exodus, because those tormenting Passover spirits were causing our fathers, not one generation, but 2 generations, to be in disobedience. And the devil says, it's a lie. You don't have to be circumcised to celebrate Pesach. It's a lie. They're making that stuff up. It's the rabbi in Miami. What are you doing? You're in a cult. You're in the wrong place. My goodness gracious. Well, if I'm in a cult, I'm in the same cult that Joshua was in. Pardon me, I want to be in that number when the saints go mark. I want to be in that cult. I don't want to be in the cult that tell me that half the Bibles passed away and Yahweh had a bad hair day, so he sent Jesus to reverse all the eternal commandments. I don't want to be in that cult.
I know you're right.
Todah Rabbi Yahweh. Speaking the truth in love. Truth part is easy, it's the love part that's hard. Verse 9. This day have I rolled away the reproach through Joshua from off of you. So the name of the place is called Gilgal to this day. We see circumcision in preparation for Pesach. Is the rolling away of the reproach and filth of the world so one may eat the Pesach. It's not just being and cut. It's more than being cut. Yahweh says, if you are not cut before Pesach, or you take a vow and fulfill your vow quickly, you are entering the Moadim of Yahweh wearing the reproach of Egypt. It's not a question, is Rabbi Moshe right or is somebody else right? You're in a battle with demons, clean angels versus unclean angels that are trying to get you to hold on to the reproach of Egypt on your being. Hello. Todah Rabba Yahweh. I said Todah Rabba Yahweh. Today, demons continue to fight returning Israelites from receiving their Brit Milah by making it difficult for them, or telling them it no longer applies and it's not necessary in order to eat the Passover. It is a doctrine of demons. And if the enemy has been fighting you from receiving Brit Milah, it is because these unclean Passover angels that were speaking through Herod to make the Jewish people think that he was the king instead of Yeshua. Those same demons are still speaking. They made our entire generation die in the wilderness. Remember, whenever the enemy tells you something is not important, it is important. Oh, the head covering, it doesn't matter. That's just a little pet peeve over there in Miami. Yeah, as soon as you go into the street, just take it off. Watch it. Whenever the enemy tells you something is not important, it's major stuff. Whenever the enemy tells you something is important, and Yahweh says it's not important, Yahweh's right. Always obey Yahweh.
Amen.
I said always obey Yahweh.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem, Yahweh. But I'm going to show you what Yahweh showed me this morning on one condition. Althea, even you. On one condition. Don't tell me. Go with me to the book of Yehuda. Let me show you what else. Another angelic wrestling during Pesach, during Chag Matzot. 90% of the spiritual battles during the year take place during the season of Chag Matzot. We saw that today, we saw it yesterday, we'll see it for the rest of the season. Don't be surprised, be on guard. That's why we have security, we're on guard. We're smarter than we were last year. We know not only how the enemy operates, but when he operates. Amen?
Amen.
The book of Yehuda. Praise Yahweh for Bruno and for Marvin and all those who are on security, who are melachim. They're messengers to guard us while we're worshiping Yahweh. Yehuda, the book of Yehuda. Is anyone enjoying?
Amen. Amen.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Verse 9. Now you and I, can we talk?
Oh, yeah.
We've read this 100 times. But many of us have never seen it. And that's okay, because I hadn't seen it either till this morning. Ready? Yet Michael, who is the chief malach, the warring angel of Israel, when contending, you with me, Beltrami? When Michael, the chief malach for Israel, Daniel 12, 1 and 2, contending with S.A.Tan over the body, the dead body of Moshe, did not bring against S.A.Tan a railing accusation, but said, the Master Yahweh rebuke you. So, we know S.A.Tan wanted to get a hold of Moses' body to resurrect it and make an idol out of Moses so the children of Israel would worship Moses instead of the coming Redeemer, Yeshua. He wanted to take Moshe, raise him from the dead to thwart Yahweh's plans. Yes, I can't stop a resurrection, but I can substitute a resurrection. But that's not even my point. This took place during Passover. Because let's do some biblical mathematics, Rifta. Glad you're back, because I'm weak when it comes to biblical mathematics. When did Moshe die? According to our sages, Moshe died in Adar 2, the month of Purim, or the 12th, 13th month of the year, depending. Because Joshua just takes over, right? And the first thing Joshua does is 600,000, because they're about to enter the promised land. They can't even enter the promised land without circumcision, let alone sit at Yahweh's Passover table. So Moshe dies right before Passover.
What? Oh, shoot.
Wow. Wow.
And this match, really, is this, you with me? I'm not scaring you?
No, you straight. I'm with you. Never thought about it. Never.
Wow.
This match, before Pesach, is Michael and the unclean angels fighting for the body of Moshe right as Joshua's taking over. Because Joshua takes over when? When Moses dies. And Joshua in Joshua 5 takes over around when? Pesach, which means Moshe must have just died previous to that.
They ain't Passover season.
I just come in the right time.
You glad you came today?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad that Yahweh proved my point today. This match between the clean, not only the clean angel, Michael, the chief angel, and the demons who wanted to get Moshe's body to make it rise so all the Jews would worship Moshe, which they already do, and most of them still reject Yeshua, but he wanted to make it official. This wrestling match that Yehuda speaks about took place during Pesach. Let's read it again.
What chapter?
As Michael, verse 9. Yehuda, verse 9. Jude. Michael, the chief malach, when contending with S.A.Tan about the body of Moshe, did not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, the Master rebuke thee. And then we go back to Joshua, who's about to take over and enter the promised land. And so he circumcises all the second generation who were not circumcised. Hello? The reason he had to circumcise them because Moshe had been what? Muerto. Dead. And this wrestling match described in the book of Jude, verse 7, takes place just after Joshua takes over, right before Passover. And now I'm going to prove it to you further. How many are still with me?
Amen.
How many are glad they're still with me?
Amen.
Now watch this. Go to Yehoshua.